Yes, for getting I'd like to ask them. So how you doing, Miss Roberson, today?
I'm good, Clarence. Thank you so much for allowing me to be on the Clarence Miles in the Community Show. I'm great.
Yes, I think we've been a long time waiting for this opportunity. I think we've been on hold for almost like 2 months since this epidemic been going on. So I'm
Yeah.
glad we got an opportunity to be out here, especially outside
Right.
in this nice, beautiful weather. You know
Yes.
what I mean? Here in the historical Langston Terrace community,
Yes.
where we'll get a chance to talk about Langston a little later. But right now, I just want to get into you. I just want to get into you because I see that you as a Washingtonian, a woman to have author, to have 6 books, also with the fatherhood and motherhood. But one of the books that I was speaking upon was the one that you did with the Underground. But I
Yes.
also see that you've been on different shows. Could you elaborate on some of the shows that you've been on or some of the talking points that you do?
Yes. Well, I was just my new book is going to be released the end of this month. Was just featured on Channel 9 News, which was
Okay.
really good. It's called A Black Mother's Guide: How to Survive the Criminal Justice System. Something that I believe is really necessary in our community because um, the statistics show that 1 in every 3 black boys will go to prison in their lifetime, and 72% of black children are being raised by single mothers.
Hmm.
So I want to provide this information to them so that they can navigate their way through the system in the event their child becomes one of the 3.
Okay, so I hear you talk about navigating through the system, and I hear you talking about childhood, and you also have a program called what was the name of your program?
In Just Us.
It's just that.
Hmm.
So what does "in just us" mean, and
Okay.
why did you come up and how did you come up with
Okay.
that?
Okay. I selected In Just Us is because there are so many injustices that we face in our community.
Hmm.
So I thought In Just Us would be a good acronym
Hmm.
because it's unjust, but it's for us.
Hmm.
And it's a show that shares stories of injustice and allows
Hmm.
listeners to call into the radio show and, ask questions and seek advice. So it's a program that I believe is really needed in the community to show to kind of get the word out there about different things that's going on in the community that they otherwise won't know.
Okay, so when you saying helping opportunity for those who are, what ages are you talking about? You talking about older, younger, adolescents? Who are the people you're talking? People that you talk about? Is it all of them inclusive, or what is it?
Well, I believe it just really depends on the actual guest that I have for that particular week. Like
Mm-hmm.
one week I had a brother, Joe Houston from DC, and
Mm-hmm.
he's a young brother that's into physical fitness, and he
Mm-hmm.
turned his life around. So that was for much younger people
Mm-hmm.
that could receive that. So I have different types of guests each week.
Mm-hmm.
So it really just depends on who the guest happens to be that week to
Mm-hmm.
determine what age group that particular show is for.
Oh
And
yeah.
it airs every Tuesday.
Oh yeah. By the way, you did have me on that
I
show
definitely
too.
did. I
I thank you. I
definitely did.
appreciate that.
Exactly, because
Yeah.
again, I try to focus on people that are involved in making a difference in the community and or changing the criminal justice system.
So, what made you write books? Or what made you first? What made you write your first book? And now you say you have 6 books. But
Yes.
what made you actually write your first book? What
Okay.
was going on?
Right. My first book is entitled Motherhood What You Don't Know,
Hmm.
which was written for teen girls. It was released in 2005, and at the time, 11 and 12-year-old girls were having babies in the District of Columbia at an alarming rate.
I
And
remember.
I felt that it was necessary, and that's why I entitled it Motherhood What You Don't Know, because it's so much that they don't know
Hmm.
about it, and then in 2007, I followed up with Fatherhood What You Ought to Know,
Hmm.
because society tends to focus solely on teen girls, minimizing the role of teen boys, but they are just as responsible for to prevent unwanted pregnancies as girls are.
Okay.
So collectively, I did really well. The book sold approximately 2,500 copies
Okay.
over the years, and Motherhood, which you don't know, was also featured on the Wendy Williams show in New York City back in
Okay. Okay.
2007. That's when she
I
was on the radio.
right. I know
Yeah.
I use features. So let me ask you: are you a mother? Are you a mother?
Oh yes, I see. And the thing is, I
Okay.
was a teen mother.
Okay.
So
Okay.
who best to tell the story than somebody that's been
Oh,
there?
okay. Okay.
So I didn't tell them what I heard. I told them what I know.
Okay.
You
Okay.
know,
Cool.
because at the end of the day, being a teen mother is a lot of responsibility, and I had no idea. And at the time, I had graduated from high school, and I was 19. But at 19, I had no idea what motherhood really consisted of. And so I look at 11 and 12-year-old girls like, what the hell? So I just want to give them the inside scoop of what it really means, and that's where it started from.
Well, I believe, and I can't tell your age, I don't know your age, but we kind of came up around that little cycle. And so I understand about how it was with pregnant girls and stuff like that. But also you have a book about fatherhood. Now how do that fit into your prescription that
Right.
you talking about fatherhood? So it has to be something a little deeper than that, than motherhood. What
Yes.
was that about?
Yes, because Fatherhood, which you ought to know, was written for boys, and it was about two boys, 15 years old, growing up in the streets of D.C. trying to find their way. One never knew his father, and the other's father left when he was 10 years old. So it's really about them really trying to transition from boyhood to manhood in the streets of DC with it's a lot of violence and drugs and the teen pregnancy thing. One is involved with a girl, so it's a story that it resonates with young boys nationwide.
Okay. Well, since you talked about the fatherhood book, I also have a book for fatherhood myself. And one of the things how I ended up getting my book was because I could never be the father I wanted to be to my son. So now I got so many kids, 'cause I've been working with kids for the last 20 years, that I'm still trying to work with my son, which is now a grown man. You know what I mean? But what I found out is nothing like a mother's love. I guess it's nothing like a father's love if he loved to love his. And what I found out that I did the book because I had a lot to do with how my father had raised me and how I was raising my son. So it was like a threefold thing. So and when you said that, it kind of like gave me something to actually think about. Because here in our society, a lot of times we are raising ourselves. You know what I mean? And even if the mother's in the house and there's no man in the house,
Right.
I don't care if I'm 3, if I don't care if I'm 5 or 7, 8, 10 or 15 or 25 or 30, I feel like I'm the man of the house
Right.
because there ain't no
Exactly.
man in the house.
And it's some things that we as women, we are not equipped to teach boys how to be men.
Mm-hmm.
So they find their ways in the streets.
Mm-hmm.
But fatherhood, what you ought to know, I stress this to those young brothers that regardless of whether or not their father was in their life,
Mm-hmm.
they have a responsibility for the seeds that for the babies that they make.
Right.
And I try to encourage them to break the cycle because at the end of the day, it wasn't okay that their fathers left.
Right.
It wasn't okay, and they need to be
Right.
able to own that.
Right.
And just try to change it for the next generation.
Right. And I appreciate that. Let me ask you about. So you have the program, like you said, what's the name of it? And what do your program do, and what does it offer, and how can man or female reach out to you and about the work that you do to engage incarcerated for kids or sons?
You're talking about the Black Mothers for Justice?
Right.
Yes,
Yeah, right. So,
okay.
see, because I knew you before that happened,
Yes.
and then it was a big turnaround in your life. I can't tell your story.
Right.
All thing I can do is listen to it. It was a big turnaround in your life, and I see that what you've been doing has been catching on.
Yes.
And you've been moving forward, and I've been seeing sometimes you have different Zoom, because we're in the era of the Zoom, where the mothers and parents and all of them get together and stuff like that. So what is that totally all about? Because I know people listen to us, and they want to understand
Right.
what is our purpose
Right.
and what message that we want to give out to the community, because somebody might be going through the same thing
Right.
that you've been through.
Right. Yes. So you're talking about how Black Mothers for Justice came about.
Hmm.
I am the founder of Black Mothers for Justice Inc., which is a 501c3 nonprofit organization, and I created this after one of this one of the situations that transpired in my life. Let me just back up. In 2016, my son was in his third year of college, and he was wrongfully incarcerated.
Okay.
I mean, he was wrongfully convicted of a crime he did not commit. He was he was incarcerated for 3.5 years, and I fought Baltimore. I fought a good fight to try to get my son released from that situation, because they originally tried to charge him with murder. Back in 2016, a student was stabbed to death during a brawl on the campus of Morgan State University, and my son was the primary suspect. And he was taken to trial, no DNA, nothing to connect him to the crime, and he was found not guilty of the bogus murder charges. But during the trial, the judge added an accessory after the fact. It wasn't a part of the original indictment. He added this charge, and basically they railroaded my son.
Right. Okay. Okay.
They railroaded my son, and so that's when I wrote the Above Ground Railroad, because I want.
Excuse me. What is the above ground railroad for those who's watching the?
Right, okay.
In case you might got past or haven't got to
Right,
them, but they need to know what is that?
Right, I say the Underground Railroad, we all know, was Harriet Tubman freeing slaves.
Okay.
Okay. So I went with Above Ground Railroad because there's nothing hidden about what the criminal justice system is doing to Black and brown men.
Okay.
You know what I mean?
Okay.
So this is the Above Ground Railroad, because they railroaded him. It was nothing underground about it. It was right there in my face. Like, now what? You know, so that's where the name came from. So I wrote about it because I want other mothers to understand that this criminal justice system is actually targeting our sons, because they fulfill these for-profit prisons, and it's basically modern day slavery. So I really want to encourage mothers whose sons or daughters may be entangled in this unfair, unjust system. I want them to understand what I did, and I write from the beginning, from the day my son was arrested, through all the different hearings and trials and stuff like that he went through. And I just want to just kind of be able to show other mothers what I did, to give them some insight on what they can do to fight for their children, because it was never just about mine, it was about ours.
Okay.
You know?
Okay.
Yeah.
So one of the things that I heard you say, that your son had got into a situation at Morgan State. Okay. And at the same time, you was working. You was working. You had a nice job. Everything was going good. The house was all happy. Son in college, daughter doing this, you doing that. Your mom was doing this and doing that. So everything was like, but something happened one day, and all of a sudden you wasn't working.
Right. Well, I was actually forced to resign because my mom was bedridden.
Okay.
And she was terminally ill. And what happened was that I worked with this law firm in D.C. for 19 years. And I applied for the Family Medical Leave Act. And they gave me 3 months of leave, but it would have been leave without pay. Who can afford to be on leave without pay?
Okay, come on.
So I couldn't afford to be on leave without pay. So I was forced to leave my job, because basically I had to choose between my mother and my job.
Right.
You know, and of course I chose my mother.
Right.
You know,
and this is the same time your son
my
was
son
going through it.
Yes.
Okay, so you
absolutely.
hit with a
about
double
heavy,
whammy.
Yes,
Okay,
exactly.
I got you.
But God is faithful. You know what I mean? And there is purpose that came out of all that pain, because it was a very heavy time for me. You know, but God is faithful, and I was able to continue to just keep the faith and just know that trouble doesn't last always. You know what I mean? So I took care of Mom, you know, continued to fight. Unfortunately, my mom didn't live to see the day that my son came home. He came home a couple months after a funeral, but, you know, we're here, you know, and fighting a good fight, you know what I mean? So I created a Black Mothers for Justice Inc. to be a support system for other mothers whose children are incarcerated. So, because I know it's a heavy burden to carry, and I don't want any mother to feel like they have to carry it alone anymore.
Right. So so what I'm asking these different things because what happened is because I was able to see you making these transitions out of life, and at the same time I'm transitioning out of life, but the whole time I see you, you always had your head up. You was always cheerful, joyful, and you continue on like you never missed a step like today. And my thing, and then you form your talk show. You had your talk show that you does every Tuesday. You know what I mean? And giving out information. And one of the things what I found out is that a lot of times when things happen to us, some of us just stop doing whatever.
Right.
We don't build on it.
Right.
We take it like it's a virus and don't treat it. You know what I mean? But you did yours. You treated yours, and you made that next step. And I have to applaud you for your energy because you motivate me. You know what I mean? And some of the things that what we find out is that we have something to give, and a lot of times we don't reach inside of us to share. And so what I've been hearing that you sharing your gifts. One of the things I want to ask you about is that what school did you go to? I know we went to the chapel. What school did you go to?
Easton.
Oh, you went to Easton?
I'm a Rambler baby.
Yeah, well, I went to Dunbar. So,
But look, honestly, I went to Ballou, Anacostia, and Easton.
Oh,
I
well,
graduated from Easton. I was kind of moving around.
Oh, yeah, I was about to say
I
all
was
that,
kind of moving around, trying to stay out of trouble.
Yeah.
But I'm a Anacostia Indian at heart, but I actually graduated from Easton.
Well, let me ask you this here. I'm a man of the streets when I was younger. You know what I mean? Have you ever touched that part of the world? You know what I mean? In other words, was you out there in the streets coming up? Coming up. Because some of us have been through things, and some of us never been through things, and some of us have transitioned through things, and some of us have made it out and was able to talk about how it was when we was younger because we weren't always this bright.
Right. I mean, I came up in Southeast, so I seen a little bit of everything. You know what I mean? And I was definitely out there. I was moving around, but I always had that foundation. You understand what I'm saying?
That's what I'm talking about.
I always had that foundation. Because I used to spend summers out in Virginia with my grandmother, and my grandmother, you had to show your church clothes. You couldn't spend the night if you ain't had your church clothes. So I was very fortunate in that regard, because my grandmother introduced me to God at a very early age.
Okay.
So even though in my teens I was kind of moving around, dipping and dabbing, slipping and sliding, what we do.
Yeah.
But it's not what you do, it's how you do it.
Right.
And for me, I've always been fortunate because I've always had that foundation, which was first God, then my children, then my job, then me, and then, you know what I mean? So with that, I was able to sustain. I mean, I went through what everybody else went through.
Okay.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But I just didn't stay there.
Right.
You know what I mean? It ain't what you do, it's how you do it.
Right.
So.
And I say that is because, first of all, for those who just been tuning in or coming in, we were talking to author Malinda Roberson, because I know that some people just came on or just seeing the show or just having to turn and want to know what we were talking about. We're talking about Malinda Arthur Roberson, who has 6 books, who have a program, and she also has something that she can help you in case of you need information about incarcerated,
the criminal
justice, that she have her telephone number. What is your telephone number or information where they can email you or something like that?
Okay, that's melindarobertson35@gmail.com. Or they can just go to my website, www.melindarobertson.com, or blackmothersforjustice.com. And they can contact me through there.
And the only reason why I say that because we know we're going to be talking as time go on.
Right.
Everybody's not just going to stay glued to the TV. Somebody's going to be passing on. And somebody might already listen to the whole segment and to hear what you're going through, and they may want to reach out to you.
Yeah.
And we know that for real, this is what we want.
Yes.
We want to share this information.
Absolutely.
We want to give it to somebody because what happened is that a lot of us is not aware of the services that we can get in Washington, D.C. Everybody's not aware that some of us that's from Washington, D.C. have been engaged in a lot of things that today we got the hookup.
Yes.
That we can help somebody else to move forward in life learning situations.
Absolutely. It
You
takes a
know,
village.
right? Oh, and you say what?
It takes a village.
But I also heard you talk about your spirituality.
Right, right. Yes, my foundation.
Yeah,
And that's very important. You know,
yeah.
that's been my saving grace. And like you said, even though I was going through so much last year and
Hmm.
the years prior to that, because I know who God is. You know
Okay.
what I mean? And He is first in my life. So no
Okay.
matter what happens or what comes against me, I still have joy because He
Hmm.
is first in my life.
Okay.
And I want to be able to show that, because the thing about, you're not supposed to ever look like what you're going through. You
Hmm.
know what I'm saying?
Hmm.
And for me, it inspired me because I want to inspire others.
Hmm.
Because as long as you stop, when you stop looking up, ain't nowhere for you to go but down.
Hmm.
But you know, as long as you continue to give Him the praise and the grace, because there is purpose in the pain. No matter what you're going through, there
Hmm.
is purpose. But you have to seek the pain. You can bow down to it, or you can, okay, God, what you want? What am I supposed to do? And that's what I did. You know what I mean? Because I'm like, God, I mean, the first year I was rushing the process. I just wanted my son out of there. Like, this wasn't supposed to be
So
him.
you
You know
say
what I
you was
mean?
kind of like
Oh my gosh.
panicking, you was going through.
I was like, man, I was just like, how can this be? And I mean, because I worked for law firms for over 30 years, and I never knew how corrupt the criminal justice system was until it knocked on my door.
Yeah.
And when it knocked on my door, I was like, oh my gosh, like, what in the world, you know? But God is faithful, and I continued to trust Him. I was rushing the process the first year, but by the second year, I started trusting the process. You know what I
Hmm.
mean? And I was able to say, okay, God, what do you need me to do right now in this spot? You
Hmm.
know what I mean? And the Holy Spirit said, write a book. And
Hmm.
I'm like, oh my gosh, I wake up like 4 o'clock in the morning. I'm sitting in my bed, I'm crying. Write a book. I'm like, write a book? You want me to write a book? Wow, you want me to write about this? Like, oh my gosh. And the next morning, because every day, when we went to trial and stuff like that, my daughter and I, we would
Hmm.
go in and we would take notes through the trial and stuff like that. So the next day, I got all my notes together, said, okay, God, you said write a book, I'm going to write a book. And that's when I did the Above Ground Railroad.
Well, I got some more questions I want to ask you. But you said something about your daughter. How is she doing?
My daughter's doing really well. I'm so proud of her.
Good.
You know, she has a master's degree from Syracuse University,
Okay.
which is such a blessing because that is the product of my teen pregnancy. So
Hmm.
the reality is that as a teen mother, I knew that I did not want that to be her story. So I stressed the importance of education, and she broke the cycle because, you know, she is, like I said, she went all the way. She is has her master's degree and doing very well working in D.C. government. Thanks.
So let me ask you this, because when the incident happened with your son, right? Which that's his sister, right?
Yes.
How did she make it through that? I
Well,
know you said she got a degree, and I know that she had some trying moments. I
right.
wasn't there, but
Right.
I'm quite sure.
Definitely.
Just as well, if she see Mama going through something, I'm
Yes.
quite sure that she was kind of like, and brother going through
Yes.
something. How did she work through that?
Well, Malinda did a very
Oh, she number two.
yes, that's
Oh,
right, that's
okay,
right,
okay,
Malinda.
cool.
Yes. So Malinda was my strength in so many ways because
Okay.
she just kind of like made sure that I was good. You know what I
Okay.
mean? So she never really expressed to me what she was going through because she was my strength. You know what I'm
Okay.
saying? So she never really, and I'm like, I knew she was going through it, but she never let me see that side.
Oh, you never see you
Right, so
sweat.
she was
Yeah,
like
okay.
strong on my
Okay,
end, but I'm
okay.
sure she got home and she broke down, you know what I
Yeah,
mean?
yeah.
Because we were in it together, and that's what I'm so thankful and so blessed because my children are my foundation.
Right.
You know what I mean? And we are the three musketeers, and
Right.
it's one for all and all for one.
Okay, okay,
Yeah.
cool, cool. And I like
Yeah.
that. So I would ask you about the COVID-19.
Oof.
The COVID-19 that got us all in an uprising, you know. Tell me how you've been making it through this.
Let me tell you something, baby. I've been trusting God because at the end of the day, He is speaking. He is speaking to the world. And can't nobody do what's being done right now but Him. Nobody has the power to shut the world down like He has done. So I have been able to be obedient, sit still, wear my mask, do what He's saying do. This is my first time out in public in months. You know what I mean? Because
Okay.
I'm very serious about it and I'm very cautious of it.
Mhm.
But for me, it just has allowed me time to to reconnect with God on a higher level.
Okay.
Because at the end of the day, this is a sacred time in the world.
Okay.
And he is speaking to everybody. And some people choose to keep on moving and moving, but I'm sitting still because I want to hear what he got to say to me. And in the midst of this pandemic, he is still blessing. He blessed me with the Injustice radio show in the midst of this pandemic. I never knew that I was going to be a radio show. I never anticipated that, but hey,
you're doing a great job,
God's will, God's way. So I'm just here for God. You know what I mean? I asked him to use me, let his light shine, and I'm good. COVID who? I got COVID God, so I'm all right with it.
So then my second thing I said I wanted to ask you about, because everything else is not numbered, but this is what I ask you, what about Black Lives Matter? In our community, in our system, around the United States, Black Lives Matter came around, and it's going to be around. And about the thing, how it started from the beginning, because I'm quite sure you know about, and how it is now. And what have it installed in you, what have it entailed in you, and what difference as a woman, because a woman took leadership in that. How is that reference with you?
I would say that I really, to be perfectly honest, I don't believe Black lives really matter.
Okay.
I mean, because if the Black lives really matter, we wouldn't have the gun violence that we see every day. We have these babies being killed in the street. When Black lives really matter, that's when we go back to the 60s and the 70s when we had brotherhood and sisterhood. You understand what I'm saying? What the Black Panthers represented. You know what I'm saying? Peace, my brother. It was peace. But today, Black lives may matter when it comes to, we're saying basically Black lives matter when the law enforcement kill one of us. But what about when we kill one of us? I mean, because so many babies, I mean, the 11-year-old in D.C. got killed, you know what I'm saying, by a stray bullet, you know what I mean? An 8-year-old got killed in Atlanta, you know, a 2-month-old baby, you know, it's just happening too much. I mean, approximately 20 babies have been killed by gun violence in the last 3 months. So my question is, do Black lives really matter?
Well, if you ask me,
I mean, it's a movement.
Yeah.
I mean, and I get the protest and what they're doing and what they're accomplishing through it, but at the same time, we need that same energy that's out there protesting. We need that same energy in our communities so that we can get these guns off the street and save some lives.
Okay, yeah. Well, I think they do. I think they do really matter. And also, I'm a type of person who work in the community with a lot of chaos and confusion. And I know that some of our young people who have these guns are not thinking about your life or my life. But I believe that within the Black Lives Matter, it's more on a different level, higher level. You know, it could be my son that's out there killing somebody. It might be your son who just got involved in something or feel like he was into something and got acquitted. But a lot of times, it's the way we think. So what do you think about police brutality here in Washington, D.C., just as well as around the United States?
I think it is something that has been around for far too long. I think it's something that we as a community need to continue to fight. And that's why I think it's so important for the Black Lives Matter movement. You know, earlier we talked about the Black Lives Matter movement, but we didn't really expound on the purpose. And, you know, I understand the purpose. The purpose is about this police brutality. And when we witness this brother being killed in front of the world, this police officer had his knee on that man's neck for 8 minutes and 46 seconds, you know, on camera. And he didn't flinch. He didn't care. So that right there, I believe, was the beginning of a movement that is going to last for years to come. And it should, because enough is enough is enough. And I believe the death of George Floyd escalated this movement to a way that we've never seen. It's no longer just nationwide, it's worldwide. And I commend the young people that's out there protesting in all these states and making their voices heard, because it's so necessary. And I do believe it's going to bring change to police departments all around the world.
So what you saying that my understanding is Black Lives Matter only have something to do with police brutality.
Right. That's the purpose
Nothing
of
more,
it.
no less. No
Right.
more. That's just the beginning of what Black Lives Matter is. A lot of other things been misconstrued or mislabeled or added on to for what Black Lives Matter really mean. I thank you
Right.
for explaining that to
Right.
me, explaining that to us, because a lot of time we think about it's about black killing blacks and
Right.
or
Right.
this and that. But I'm glad that you explained that.
Exactly, because it's being taken out of context.
Okay.
We kind of like use it when it's to our advantage.
Okay.
You know what I'm saying? Black
Okay.
lives matter when it's convenient, but at the end of the day, if you're saying you got on a t-shirt and a mask that says Black Lives Matter, but you are out here robbing and killing people, you're basically saying that black lives really don't matter. You know what I mean? So
That
I'm
if you
just
doing
saying,
that.
what you have to do is they have to understand the purpose originally was because of the police brutality.
Okay.
But at the end of the day, as a community, we need to embrace that so that we can make a better community for ourselves.
Right.
Right.
So we won't have that police
So we
brutality.
right, exactly.
Okay.
Because at the end of the day, the police brutality is what it is. It has been for years, and these young people, this next generation, they are not having it. You know
Right.
what I mean? They are
Okay.
not having it, and I commend them for their efforts.
Okay. It's easy for me to go back to when we came in the house with the street lights,
Yeah.
but our kids don't know nothing about coming to the house with the street light. And see, and when I found out that I had to change the way I was thinking, because I can't make these kids that's not mine come up the way we came up.
Right. It starts in the home.
And so again, that's why I come back to Black Lives Matter. I'm talking about on the political avenue, how a lot of changes that came about in a short period. You know, somebody said, I heard somebody say this, if y'all give me some more money, I can stop the killing. That's what I heard somebody say. And I'm a Washingtonian, right? So if they gave you more money and you can stop the killing, that means 9 out of 10 times you got to know where the killing is at, right? Mm-hmm. I've been working in this community for 20 years. And I had no one ever walked up to me and said, I'm about to kill so-and-so.
Right.
So how can I prevent something that I don't know what's going on?
Right.
Okay, so a lot of our youth that's in our household, it starts at home. But a lot of times, again, one more time, you wrote a book about motherhood, you wrote a book about fatherhood. And a lot of times, our fathers can't control our kids. Our uncle can't control our nephews. Our nephews don't want to respect our uncle, don't want to respect our mother.
Right.
So, and what I'm saying is, but with Black Lives Matter, it have a whole lot of nothing to do with how our young kids are doing from home. You see what I'm saying? Because what they have doing is, because I have a summer youth program, and I talk to a lot of my kids, and them kids, I'm saying, these not the type of kids I was working with last year, because my kids was working about last year talking about bang, bang, boom, shoot. These kids talking about writing books. One little girl, 14 years old, talking about she going for real estate. Another little guy talking about he going to be a director for movies. He a history buff. You know what I mean? Another young man talking about he's going for account. Every last one of these kids have a sense of direction. But what I'm saying is that I work in this neighborhood a long time, and I work with a lot of kids. But some kids is just not going to get it right away. Clarence didn't get it right away.
Right.
But what I found out when I listened to people like Martin Luther King, right? When I listen to people like John Lewis, when I listen to people like Obama, when I listen to Rev. Willie Wilson, you see what I'm saying? When I listen to my pastor and all the rest of these people, they changed my life because I was able to get into the spirit of what was happening.
And you were able to receive
Right. And so
Right.
some of our kids is just not receiving the message.
Right.
Because sometimes, just like I was, the street message was more powerful than what my father or mother message was.
Right.
But I did come up on a good family, a good household. And I'm not saying none of these kids are not coming up with a good household. What I'm saying is that sometimes we got to restructure as a parent how we deal with our kids.
Definitely.
Because, you know, and I say that because, and this is why I ask you that, because I know you're a woman, you're a black woman, you're a sister, you're a down-to-earth sister, and I know that you're a role with the sisters. You follow what I'm saying? But I respect what your opinion is.
Right.
Wow, because I might have to just put that up on a shelf. We might have to share it with somebody.
Right.
This is Arthur, Malinda, Roberson. going to be a Academy Award. It's going to be a bestseller.
Yeah, yeah.
It's going to have a bestseller.
Yeah, I'm working on
You know what I
it.
mean?
For
So I
sure.
just want to let the audiences know
Yes.
where we at, because we got a little deep this time.
Yes, for
but
sure.
but these are things that I like to talk about.
Right.
Because
Exactly.
a lot of times we want to sugarcoat some things. We
Right.
want to just. But let's just get honest.
Right.
But that's
exactly.
the thing about it.
And it starts at home.
Yes.
You know what I mean? I think a lot of these young brothers are lacking love. You know what I mean? And then we have a tendency they have a tendency to glorify going to jail. You know what I mean? Somebody could come home from college, they don't have anything to acknowledge this brother just coming home from college, but they have a whole damn block party for somebody just coming home from jail.
Yeah.
You understand what I'm
Yeah.
saying? So it's like the kids are looking at that. You know what I
Right.
mean? But I think brothers and sisters, they need to be real about what's going on behind them prison walls.
Right.
You see what I'm saying? Because we have to establish fear in these young people's hearts so that they will understand that there are repercussions for their actions. You know what I mean? Because it doesn't really hit. Because at the end of the day, it's no guns in jail.
Right.
They run around with these guns like they, you know what I'm saying, they own the streets and shit, but ain't no guns in jail. You know what I
Right.
mean? They're going to have to fall down. You know what I mean? And I think we need to be real about what's happening so that they can understand the seriousness of having your life taken away from you. It's not a game when they passing out 60 years and you 16. That's your life. And I think that we need to just stress that to these young people. They just want to be loved.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
But I had an incident last night. My sister and her granddaughter got into it. And her granddaughter, I think she's 12.
12?
And she's 12. And, I'm saying, well, and again, one more time, I went back to my mother. If I had said what she said, if I said that to my mother, I probably wouldn't have been here today.
How about that?
You follow what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So, and what happened is, if I work with kids, I see a lot of parents say this to the kids: stop 21 times. Stop 21 times. Or I'm gonna do this and I'm gonna do that. By that time, the kid done got numbed on the 23rd time. So, if you don't correct a lot of situations
Yes, from day one.
from day one, then I don't think that my sister would have went through what she went through last night.
Right.
You know what I mean? Because we as an adult too,
Right.
we play a major part
Definitely.
of our. Go ahead.
We set the tone.
Yeah.
We set the tone.
Yeah.
And at the end of the day, parents have got to stop being friends with their kids. You know what I mean? That's the reality. That's your child. You know what I mean? Like, it's not cool that you are conversing with your 12-year-old. You know what I mean? She's a child. There are rules. I mean, back in the day, we sitting here and I walk past and I act like I'm stopping. My mother's like, grown people in here. What? You know what I mean? Grown folks is in here. So we knew our place. You see what I'm saying? I was the type of parent that I can look at my child. I ain't got to say nothing. I can just look at him. And my son is up the steps because he already know that I'm a no-nonsense person. And
Right.
I think the problem is that, and again, it goes back to teen parents.
Mm-hmm.
Because at the end of the day, if a girl had a baby when she was 15, you understand? And she's 35, he's what, 25? He's like, you know what I'm saying, 20. But she's still young, she's still getting her groove on and stuff like that. And you kind of just lose the authority when you cross the line. You know what I mean? You got to always have that authority figure. But once they become friends, it's all out the door.
And this is why I was saying, again, what I relate back to Black Lives Matter. And the reason why I bring that up, and the reason why I'm saying it, because in our way of restructuring, I think Black Lives to me is like restructuring. With John Lewis, when he passed away, he got a chance to get with some of the restructuring of what's going on now. This has been a avenue that we never once seen before.
Right.
At the beginning, I was saying, this is what I was saying at the beginning. Oh, here we go back in Martin Luther King days.
What are you talking about with the Black Lives Matter protest?
No, I'm saying, here we go with with Martin Luther King Day. That means we did some riding, we did some short riding, and a few things made a difference. But this time, I can see that we are growing and we are maturing. And I think
Definitely.
our next generation will be doing some enhancements with some of our youth today. Some of our parents will be doing a lot of teaching and motivation to our kids that's basically coming up.
Right.
I think that through our avenues, what we got is that because all kids are not bad
Right.
and all bad kids are not good.
Right.
You follow what I'm saying? But the point is, what I'm saying is that I think that there's going to be a big change that's coming about. Why? Because when we're talking about our history, one thing that Martin Luther King said, and I've seen this, he said he would like to see one day where all races join together, come together
It's that day.
for that one cause. And I seen that.
It's that day.
You know what I mean? It took almost 45 years, 50 years to see it, but I seen
But
it.
it's here.
Yeah. So and so again, one more time, even with you, you know, you exposed something. You know what I mean? Because you was involved with it about your son. How you seen how things wasn't supposed to be the way it was,
Right,
and you
right.
seen how easy it could have been dealt with, but if somebody had only wanted to listen.
Right.
And a lot of times is that we don't want to listen, and guess what? Then we give up.
Right.
Just imagine what happened if you had just one other mother who gave up on her son.
Right.
Do you
Right.
think that your son would be home?
Absolutely not. Absolutely not. We fought together, you know what I mean? And that's what we have to encourage our sons and daughters that might be wrongfully incarcerated or over sentenced or whatever. They have to fight for themselves. Lucky took it upon himself to contact the Court of Appeal to appeal his case. You know what I mean? So eventually his conviction was overturned. But the system is so wicked that he did 3.5 years for a conviction that was overturned. And when we went to court, do you know they gave him a $50,000 bail? 50,000. Now, how does that work? He did 3.5 years for a conviction that was overturned. The judge gave him a $50,000 bail and 3 years probation.
So that means he had to pay while he was in
Right,
jail
that's what
for
I'm saying.
being in jail.
Oh my gosh! And then the thing, but see, this is the thing. What they do is they don't expect single black mothers to be able to afford the bail. So that would have been another way to keep him down for another couple of years if I couldn't come up with it. But see, God blessed me in a way where I sold my house to pay my son's legal. You know what I'm saying? And I thank God that I had a house to sell. But I went from being a homeowner to renting to pay for my son's.
Right.
You know what I mean? I had to pay $25,000 for his legal expenses.
Right.
He still ended up getting. They gave him 10 years.
Right.
Suspended to 10 years for accessory to a crime that is still unsolved today.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? How does that even work? How can somebody be an accessory when who was he an accessory to?
Right.
But they basically do whatever they want to do because it's nothing that, we're powerless.
And this is why I asked the question, because sometimes people need to know what you actually went through and what you're going through.
Right.
And why is it so important that we as society learn how to work together as a team? Because I heard you say you and your daughter and your son work together as a team.
Absolutely.
Because a lot of times I probably would have gave up when they said 50,000.
Right. So, but the family support, I just encourage anybody that has a child incarcerated to be their support system. It's so overwhelming what they are going through behind those walls, and you don't know what they're being subjected to. Only thing we could do is try to support them. Keep money on the phones, keep money on their books and stuff like that. You know what I mean? And, at one point during the incarceration, within the second year, maybe the first year, my son, he said to me, Mom, this was in the first year, he said, all my life you told me about God. He said, all my life we went to Union Temple and I was in the choir and all that stuff. But you know what he said? He said, but I never knew God. He said, I never knew him for myself. So now it's me and God. Because I know God with me. And that's when I was able to say, okay, you know what? We got this. You know what I mean? So it's a growing process that, you can either go through or you can grow through.
Right.
You know what I mean? And it was important for me and my family to grow through it. Right. And we went through it, so we good.
My next question was, because you even said it, What type of woman did that make you?
Hmm.
When it
It,
all, no, let me put it this way. What type of woman that made you the day when your son was able to come across that line to reach back in society?
hmm
What type of mother and how did you feel? Do you think it was all that you went through? Just asking a question. Do
hmm
you think it was really worth it?
Oh,
And if you didn't think it was really worth what I'm saying is because some of us are not able to get to that next level.
hmm
So how did you feel when he really returned back to society?
oh my gosh! When I tell you that that was probably the best day since the birth of my children.
Mmm.
Since the birth of my
Y'all
children.
watch, y'all hear that, then
Right,
y'all?
since the birth of my children, that was the greatest day that when he was actually released because, like I said, they gave him a $50,000 bail
Mm-hmm.
last year, and thank God through His grace, I was able to pay the 5,000, and he was released about 3:30 in the morning.
Mm-hmm.
And we went to court earlier that morning, and it wasn't till 3 o'clock the next day. So the bondsman was like, "You might as well go home and come back because it's gonna take about 12 hours." I'm like, "I'm not leaving Baltimore without my child." You
Mm.
understand what I'm saying? So we were over there like 14 hours, me and my daughter,
Mm.
waiting on my son to come up out of there.
Yeah.
And when I tell you, when they called and said that he was downstairs in booking, and we got to see him, it was our first time seeing him in 8 months
Mm. Yeah.
because um, he would not allow me or my daughter to see him
Mm.
behind the glass.
Mm.
So,
Mm.
I never wanted my son to be a mama's boy, and I know the day he's not.
Good.
Because he was over there for 8 or 9 months, and he said, if I can't touch you, you're not coming.
Mm-hmm.
He would not put me or my daughter on his
Okay.
visitors list. So we
Okay.
hadn't seen him in 9 months. So when he came through that gate, man, and we saw him, we hugged for about 5 minutes, just the
Mm.
three of us, man, just crying and just praising God and just giving him the glory for letting my son come out of there sane.
Cool.
You know what I mean? And we go outside, he stripped down, I got clothes for him. I'm like,
Mm-hmm.
yeah, put this on, get that government stuff off. So
Right.
it was a
Right.
great day. I will remember it for the rest of my life.
So with you saying that, now I'm saying your son incarcerated. He's coming home or came home, and he's here now. We're here now. I know he went through a lot of trauma. And some of the young kids that we talk about, by doing certain things that we talk about, is to have a lot of trauma within their life. And I'm quite sure it traumatized me
Right.
just to hear it. And it wasn't my son.
Mm-hmm.
So I know he went through a lot of trauma. You know what I mean?
Yes.
Because the mental and the physical thing is always present.
Yes.
At this day of time, we start talking about the mental health piece that's present.
Right.
And I'm quite sure as a mother, you went through it, your daughter went through it, you know what I mean? And even your mother was going through it,
Yes.
you know what I mean? Because of how it is today.
Yes.
And a lot of times, we wouldn't look at that as trauma.
Yeah.
We'll just look at it as a simpler situation.
Right.
But today, since we know it's trauma, so what is your son doing now? In this present time, is he working, going back to school?
Yeah.
Is he touched back in with society?
Yeah, he's doing really well today. He is working every day. He was able to obtain his IT certification through the Hope Project.
The Hope Project,
Yeah,
that number one
right
project.
there, right.
Yeah, number
So
one
he
project
got
in
that.
D.C.
So unfortunately, he hasn't been able to expound on that yet because he's still on paper and with these government agencies. So it's been kind of difficult. But I'm proud of him. He got a car. He go to work every day. He's responsible. And he's just enjoying life. He spent his 21st, 22nd, and 23rd birthday there. You know what I mean? But I believe that he has a whole different perspective on this thing called life.
Yeah.
And he understands how in the blink of an eye, it can be changed.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
One thing about it is that he home, because a lot of our kids go in with a situation, and they make the situation worse than what it is once they get there.
Right.
Thank God for his mental capability that he was able to work through the process.
Yes.
And one thing he said is that the good Lord gave him a day at a time to really work things out. That is a true blessing. That is a story that the best person can tell it is you and him.
Yeah.
And I feel real remarkable that I'm able to sit here and talk to you about what's going on, what's about Malinda Roberson, because a lot of times people may not know Malinda Roberson.
Yes.
So with us doing this, somebody might see you because this will be shown on DC cable TV. You know, many segments at different times. We here with Clarence Miles in the community, and one thing about it is, like I said, the people I like to talk to are the people that's real people,
Yeah.
people who very make a difference in Washington D.C. How we cross that bridge, cross that line. So tell me some. So what you got good coming up? You know, the coming. I know you said that you have August the 30th.
Yes.
That your book release
Yes.
coming out, and some other things that you might
Yes.
have. That somebody might want to. And give them your telephone number one more time.
Okay.
And how they can reach you. And you know.
Okay. I can be reached at Malinda Roberson 35 at gmail.com, website www.melindarobertson.com, or www.blackmothersforjustice.com. I'm having a virtual book release party to launch a Black Mother's Guide, How to Survive the Criminal Justice System, is being released on August 30th. And we're going to do it via Zoom, so that we can just bring this announcement. I'm going to have a Black Mother's Guide has 5 sisters, including myself, that shared our stories of being with the criminal justice system. One mother, she lost 2 children in the streets of D.C. They died the same day. One mother was dealing with schizophrenia. One mother's son was wrongfully incarcerated. One sister from Cincinnati, she is an advocate for the wrongfully convicted. So I'm going to actually, the virtual book signing, the mothers are going to be a part of this. They're going to talk about their chapters, why it was important for them to share their stories, because we all have a story to tell. And we never know, like you said in the beginning, we never know what someone else is going through. So we're using our stories to try to be a blessing to help others that might be in that situation. So I'm excited about the release of this book. And it also provides information, like I have a Q&A in there, like if your child is arrested or convicted, it's so much information in there about public defenders, about bail, bondsmen, arraignments, just different things that you don't know. I wish something like this could have been available to me when I was going through the process. And I believe that this book is going to actually change lives and this definitely make a difference.
And one of the things while you was talking, I would like to ask: Have you went to talk to the city council, or you been down to the Senate, or talked at Capitol Hill? Have your message got that far? Have you got to them arenas or talking to different people of that magnitude?
Yeah.
Could you share a little something like that if you have?
It's such a process. It's such a process. I've been trying to get my information to Mayor Bowser because I want to be able to connect with Lamont Carey. He has a program. I mean, he heads the reentry program in the District of Columbia. And I would love to be a part of that, because I believe if we're going to prepare them for reentry, the stronger mothers are when they come out, then the better the chances would be of them not being a returning offender. You know what I mean? So it takes a community. I believe that working with the mothers of these inmates to make them whole, help them, it's a healing process. And I believe that it would just be, it would help sustain these brothers when they come home,
So have you, the mayor in East Ward has a outreach person. In East Ward, Ward 8, Ward 1, Ward 7, they have an outreach person. And one of the things that a lot of times we need to find out who that outreach person is. And then that outreach person that works for the mayor can navigate your communication to the sources, because the government works with the government.
Right.
It's not like private industry. I'm private industry, but they have an outreach person that can help you to get closer to your destination.
Oh, okay.
You know what I mean? And a lot of times, these are some of the information that we do want to share with people. That I have some information and I don't mind sharing it.
Right.
You know what I mean? Because a lot of times you can't get to your next level if somebody holds back the information.
Right.
You know what I mean? And so what we can do, like starting tomorrow, I can work on that person. I would try to be that direct person for you to find out who that person is, get the telephone number for you so you can talk to, in order for you to get your voice heard, because the reentry is what you're about, and you want to hang with that part of the
Definitely.
people, because
Definitely.
it's not just not for a moment, it's for a
This
lifetime.
for a
Because
lifetime.
you're gonna see some injustice. You know, whether even sitting here right now, it could be some
Mhm.
injustice.
Yeah.
You know what I
Right.
mean?
Mhm.
So it comes from all different areas. But the thing about it is that we have to aware where we can get information at, where we get a chance to move forward.
Yes.
You know, I really appreciate what you're saying, what you're doing, and what you
Mhm.
have done. You know, in your life. My thing is just don't stop doing what you're doing. You know, because we need mothers like you.
Mhm.
I need a person like you. You
Mhm.
know what I mean? And the community needs to know who and what you're doing.
Yes.
Because one thing about you, I heard you talking about you surviving.
Mhm.
You able to take a foot forward when a lot of us take a foot backwards. And a lot of times, I'm quite sure that you had some of us
Mhm.
was like nonchalant. It ain't my son. That's
Mhm.
you got to deal with it. I
Mhm.
understand all that.
Mhm.
You know what I mean? But what I found out in life with this is that only reason why I was here today because the strong survive.
Yes. Yes.
The strong survive. A lot of times, I always tell people it's hard sometimes to turn a cruise ship around in the ocean. You know what I mean?
Yes.
But once it get turned around in the ocean, you
Mhm.
know what I mean? Here we are. We
Mhm.
sitting here at the table. We talking and dialoguing. We sharing information. We
Mhm.
talking about our experience, strength, and hope. And we also want to give people information whoever want to reach out to us. You
Absolutely.
know what I mean?
Absolutely.
This is Clarence Miles in the community. You know, I'm so thankful that we're able to have this platform.
Mhm.
You know what I mean? And talk about real things and real issues.
Yes.
And most of all, you know, again, I can't say it enough. I really thank you. I want you to continue on coming back because we have to do this again because we just can't stop here.
Right, right.
Okay?
And I just want to say thank you so much for having me on the show. I applaud you, my brother, for keeping it all the way 100 with your story and just being allowing this platform to enhance, you know what I mean, the black community in the District of Columbia.
Okay.
You keep doing what you're doing, my
Thank you.
brother.
And I want to thank my video man, Mr. Henry, for doing what he's doing.
Yes.
He's one of the best in Washington D.C. who will make this platform happen. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
And what I want to say is, Clarence Miles in the community, that we are here to support you.
That's
You know
right.
what I mean? It's not about how much I can take for the community. It's about how much I can give to the community. And the
Mhm.
message that we want to give is a message of hope and understanding and direction for any mother, or any father, or any kid that's looking for a positive attitude or outlook. So I'm gonna close with this here. There's only one thing in life that we can do, and we only can do it a step at a time. So I'd like to thank y'all, and we're signing out. Thank you.